What's happening, everybody? It's your boy, Ben Mahari here, representing Mahari Nation Sports Podcast. I wanted to particularly talk about, the issues of why the NBA's ratings this season have been very, very down to probably, you could say, to historical proportions. And I've seen a lot of people, rambling at the mouth, using different type of reasons why the ratings have been down this year. And there have been some good reasons, and then there's some, reasons that just leaves you scratching your head, or then there's some reasons from people that just are just ignorant in and of itself. Now, before I get into my reasoning, I wanted to salute my brothers Lamont Lane and LVZ for the excellent breakdown in terms of basketball. They're very, very well versed into the game of basketball. And also to my LDBC brethren that also talk about basketball too. Even though some of their takes I disagree with, the passion always comes out of them. So it is what it is. But I wanted to talk about the three particular reasons why, from my viewpoint, why the ratings have been gone down significantly at the start of the season. And I'm going to here to tell you off the bat that it's not going to be down for the entire season. They're going to be back up as soon as the playoffs comes around. Three particular reasons why I believe why the ratings have been down this year. Number one, viewership. The big reason why the ratings have been down this year is because the NBA has done a piss poor job of broadcasting their games and showing their games in terms of a huge, broader, audience. And the reason why I say that here is that what we have been complaining about the NBA in the past is that the games have not been available to the public because the NBA has been primarily focused on putting their games, their regular season games, and their NBA Cup games on cable TV and a lot of their streaming app services. You know what I'm saying? And because of that, a lot of fans have been pretty much been just confused and been disinterested in watching these games. It's because a lot of their games have now been on streaming app services and on cable television. And because of that, a lot of fans have been kind of just rejecting to the idea of watching these games on cable TV. And it's not just a recent problem. It's been a historical problem, for the last few decades. Now, starting next season, as soon as TNT finishes up their final season broadcasting the NBA, NBC and Peacock is going to broadcast NBA games, along with Amazon Prime that's going to cover the NBA Cup and some NBA regular season games for the next 11 years. Now, the reason why this is very, very important is because the future of television at this point right now is moving to streaming services. And these streaming services are going to be the future of broadcast TV, to the point where cable TV at some point, it's not going to go away immediately, but you're going to slowly see cable TV fizzle out. And a lot of these sports leagues like the NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, they're looking at opportunities to stream their games on these streaming services. And the NBA has basically been understanding that the game is going to be broadcasted on streaming services. And a lot of fans don't like the idea of having to watch a game on their phones or on their computers. They rather just sit back and watch these games on their television screen, which I understand that. And I understand for people that can't afford, cable TV, because at this point, because of inflation and all the stuff that's going to happen over the next 4 years, it's going to make these much more difficult for people to watch these games. And so the problem is going to be for the NBA is that how are they going to try to make games more accessible to a broader audience, so that way more eyes can be brought on to their product. And that's something that Adam Silver and his corporate, stooges are going to have to figure out. Number two, and this is the big one that I think is going to hit at the heart of my video here. Number two, the NBA has done a very bad job of pushing these new generation stars. And it's a very bad situation where you still have to rely on LeBron James to be the face of your league, even though we haven't looked at him as the face of the league for a while, even though he's made a lot of, historical achievements. The problem here is that you have still tried to stuck onto the bandwagon of LeBron James over the last 20 plus years. And as soon as he's retired from basketball, who's going to be the next person to take over as the main attraction of the NBA? Now, we do know a lot of, stars. If you're a basketball fan, stars like, Nikola Jokic, Nick, who else? Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Luka Doncic, Anthony Edwards. I mean, I can name some more, like, Giannis Antetokounmpo, more of the new generation stars that have pretty much been the new face of this new generation of the NBA. But the problem is, it just appears that the NBA at this stage is trying to suppress their personality into the forefront and during the games. And the reason why here is that you need more expressive stars to really push your product. And I feel like a lot of these guys have been too quiet and too repressive in terms of their emotions, because unfortunately the league is not letting him do so. If the league wants to create more stars, you got to let these guys express their emotions. You got to let them be their own individualistic selves and not try to make them as like corporate superstars. And if you do that, the NBA would be in a much more of a better place. And I'm going to say this too, and I think that it's going to be controversial for some, but it's going to hit home for a lot of people that have watched the NBA for decades. The NBA needs another Larry Bird symbolistic superstar that really can get more of the white fan base to come watch their product. And let me explain why I say that. Now listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic are not superstars. They are. They are certainly superstars. But the problem here is that they're foreign superstars. They're not American white superstars. And unfortunately, I hate to say it, a lot of the racist, sports fans can't relate to white foreigners. And they're going to look at them much more differently than, say, a white superstar from Indiana or a white superstar from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, or another, city that is mostly a white suburban type of city. So it's going to have to take a particular white dominant superstar from the United States of America to really garner much more attention and take that symbolism to really drive it to the forefront and basically challenge a lot of these top black superstars of the NBA. Now, I would say that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are could be their faces of the league. But the problem here is that Jason Tatum is too quiet to a fault. And he's not as expressive with his emotions. And we know that Jaylen Brown is unapologetically black. And he's the type of person that is always going to beat to his own drum. And he's much more smarter than a lot of people give him credit for. And so the NBA has been steering away from Jaylen Brown for a long time. And so what is going to have to happen here is that you're going to need a Larry Bird type of star to really bring back a lot of more of these white casual fans to let them watch more of your NBA product. And if that can be the case, then it's going to drive up viewership. Then you'll be much more of a better situation than what you're currently seeing it now. Now, the third thing that I would say that needs to happen if the game's going to have to be much more presentable to people to watch it. Yes, I'm going to say that there's been a lot of excessive, doses of teams shooting a lot of 3-point shots. But the notion that people will say, man, I could shoot a 3 in the NBA currently right now. No, you couldn't. And I'm going to tell you right now, I could tell that a lot of people on the internet have never, ever watched an NBA game and never tried an NBA 3-point shot. And because of that, they forget the fact that shooting a 3-pointer, it takes a lot of skill and a lot of practice. You can't just walk into a, NBA court and just start heaving up threes from the NBA 3-point line. Most of you are going to airball from 3-point range. And I have shot some 3-point shots in the NBA line before. When I was at the Target Center, and yes, when I was doing my thing in Madison Square Garden back in 2015. The NBA 3-point line is a far 3-point shot. It's really far. So the notion that you could basically say I can hit a 3-point shot at any particular time if I was playing in the NBA, no, you couldn't. A lot of these guys are quicker, faster, and more athletic, and they would take you off the 3-point line and make you do something else. What I think that needs to happen to make things much more presentable to watch, I would change one particular thing, and I think this is something that I think could change things a lot better. If you basically take away the 14-second shot clock after a miss and resume it back to 24 seconds, I think that more NBA offenses will be more generated to reset their offenses and look for different type of shots from the mid-range area and inside of the post. Anytime that I've seen a game that where the shot clock is missed after 24 seconds and the shot clock goes up to 14, I see a lot of different teams try to jack up threes within the 14-second shot clock frame. And to me, it's kind of made the game a little bit more unwatchable to my liking. And I think if you got rid of that and just go straight up to 24 seconds, I think that it would be much more of an efficient game and more opportunities for a lot of the post players, a lot of guys that love to slash or love to take mid-range shots. I think that you could have a better looking game in terms of running the clock much more efficiently. Because I know why the NBA did it, because they wanted to speed up the game. They wanted fast break, high tempo dunks, layups, three-point shooting. But in lieu of that, it's basically created a systemic of bad shooting for a lot of these teams that are not really good three-point shooting. You know what I mean? So I think that if you remove the 14-second clock and just go back to straight up 24 seconds, I think it would be a much more of a playing type of game. And the notion that, I want to see defenses, I want to see hand checking, first of all, you don't want to see that kind of basketball. For those people that want to have that back, it's never coming back. All right? You're going to have to accept the fact that the NBA is more of an offense-based league. And yes, there's going to be opportunities to show your defense, but they don't want a game where it's going to be in the mid 80s and the 90s or in the mid 70s. It's not going to happen anymore because a lot more of these players today, they don't want to play this type of physical type of basketball. I know they're going to say it in terms of the public perception, but internally, I don't think that they would want that type of basketball, especially what you saw in the 70s and the 80s. I mean, come on. It wasn't that pleasing type of basketball, even though you still saw a lot of high-scoring type of games too. So, but that kind of era of basketball is pretty much extinct at this point. Now, you're going to see it sometimes in the game a bit. I'm sure you'll see it, but that type of basketball is never going to exist anymore. So, and one little side note there, and this is one little tiny little thing before I get off of this video. The other problem why the NBA's viewership has also gone down too here is the NFL playoffs are about to start. We're about a few weeks away from the NFL playoffs, and a lot of viewers are going to watch the NFL playoffs much more closely because for the Kansas City Chiefs, this is a big opportunity for them to be the first team in the Super Bowl era to win 3 straight Super Bowl championships. It hasn't been done since the Green Bay Packers before the merger, when they won 3 consecutive NFL championships. But in terms of the Super Bowl era, we've seen many teams win back-to-back Super Bowls, but have yet to see a team win 3 straight championships. And there have been plenty of great teams in NFL history that nearly were on the cusp of winning their 3rd straight championship but never could do it. Now, fans are going to be more into these games because they want to see, can history be made, or will the Kansas City Chiefs finally be defeated in the playoffs? That is going to be the one thing, that's going to be the big thing that's going to drive viewership away from the NBA for a certain period of time. So that's the other part here too. And I think that's a really important nugget that I forgot to mention, but I'm glad I'm doing so now. So those are my 3 reasons. My 3 reasons here is viewership and broadcasting and TV. It needs to change and needs to make it much more. They need to put it in a broader audience and makes it more accessible to people. Then number 2, you got to push your superstars a lot better. You allow your new generation superstars to have much more personality and that's basically push them out to the forefront, because eventually when LeBron retires, someone is going to have to take the mantle. And we're going to find that out in the next few years. And then thirdly, too, I would say get rid of the 14-second clock and go back to straight up 24 seconds. And I guarantee you'll see basketball being played a little bit more efficiently than what you're seeing now. And also the NFL playoffs has a lot to do with it too. So particularly those are my reasons why the NBA viewership has gotten down. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. What do you think are the reasons why NBA viewership has gone down at the start of the season? So that's all I got to say, you guys. Y'all have a great holiday with your family and friends, and make sure to spend as much time with your family and your loved ones as best you can, all right? Stay safe out there, everybody, and let's get started with the new year outright. Peace.